Max Trinity's Metaphysics for Suicide Prevention, Part 3, The Lover Task. The task of the lover is to learn through direct experience the power of love, intimacy, and sexuality, to learn in real time what our lover identity is, and what our unique experience is to be as a lover. We do this through experiment, and we learn as much from our mistakes as we do from our quite accidental successes. Our self-image as a lover will color our whole life experience with the shades of all our interactions and every relationship we ever have. In the metaphysical sense, love is the state of pure reception and receptivity. All that exists is received in love. Love is the divine feminine aspect of inward, enfolding, incubating power. We can go no further in a discussion of love without including freedom. Freedom, in the metaphysical sense, is the pure state of assertion. Freedom asserts through choice and is the divine masculine power of expression. Freedom loves love for receiving all of freedom's expressions, and love freely loves freedom for expressing all that love embodies and enfolds. This is the originating relationship of all awareness and creation. The relationship between freedom and love, between reception and assertion, is the perpetual generating power of all that exists. It is the primary relationship of potential and manifested realities. It's ultimately a mystery how freedom and love innately and constantly interact. We sense the mystery surrounding love when it first flutters in our consciousness, and we sense the mystery of freedom when we watch things with wings taking flight. Freedom and love are perpetual states of motion, as well as the two most powerful emotions we will ever experience. They are so all-encompassing that it's a real challenge to fully realize that this profound relationship is the basis of our individual existence. We are here in the midst of eternity and all possibility, and freedom and love are the legacy we share with all that is. This is the only starting point for the quest into maturity. You must realize fully that your soul, mind, and body are all expressions of freedom and love. That's the holiest trinity: love, freedom, and creation. That's the most excellent foundation of all to base your personal existence on. Be still with this notion and let it really sink in. Feel that royal and ever-present essence seep into your very being. Feel the love of your soul for the free movement of your mind. Really stop and feel that. Let it distill into your physical being until you can hear the cells of your body witnessing to you through the range and potential of its feeling and moving that yes, your physical existence is a spontaneous and magical flow of love dancing with freedom. This integrating of love and freedom into your personal identity takes practice at first, but after some exposure to the idea, you begin to feel and show it. This basic relationship will always be informing your whole being and your individual personality with its magical power of creation, and you can dip in and feel it any time. You're free to do that. You're free to feel divinely loved. A philosophy of love. To create a personal identity of love, you must become a student of love. You must learn about it and explore it. As you learn about love, you find ways to practice it. As you become a proficient practitioner of loving ways, your personal story transmutes your whole existence into a living expression of love. Through your lover identity, you experience yourself firsthand and in real time as totally open and receptive. Love is unconditional because love receives all. To practice being unconditional and accepting, we have our sense of flexibility as an easy access to these broader states of being. One of the best love philosophies I've encountered in my study is a recent one. Matt Kahn has a comprehensive love philosophy he calls the Love Revolution, and his main tenet is this: whatever arises, love that. It's simple, and you can actually repeatedly practice it. Loving whatever arises increases your psychological and spiritual flexibility. With this increased flexibility, space is created for the expansion of acceptance, and your direct experience with unconditional existence distills upon your whole being. We have a taste of this sweet state when that weird slow motion thing happens. You know, when you're just doing ordinary stuff, and suddenly a different quality of perceiving slips in, and next thing you know, you're seeing everything with a sensitivity so stunning that you feel an incredible sense of tenderness for everything around you. You become wordless and feel an unparalleled sense of value. It's profound, and the perception slips off like silk dropping in air, and that wonderful profound feeling lingers. It colors your days from there on out. That profound state of acceptance correlates with a deep sense of clarity. There is nothing more stable than this for a foundation because it is embedded in the infinite reach of love. My personal philosophy of love is to ask, what would love do? I contemplate what love would do with a situation, an opportunity, or even what it would do with the day ahead or the one just closing. What I've found is this: love would nurture and enjoy. It would appreciate and care and encourage. It would acknowledge and comfort and invite to adventure. It would laugh and cry. It would aspire and understand. It would be company and it would be fair. It would see beauty and hope and potential. It would go to all lengths to create the win-win scenario so no one would have to be left out. It would create more room to fit what is here and what is coming, and it would do this all with kindness, tenderness, and a deep sense of vestment. Above all, love would create because that is the highest form of all expression, to create. We make ourselves partners with love when we practice this philosophy by including love in our decision-making. In this partnership, we feel love directly, and that is the best of all. That's the best reason to practice love right there. Even though love is basic to our very existence, we can choose to experience what it's like to feel a lack of love. We humans experience coldness, cruelty, and uncaring as a lack of love. In our first-hand experiences with the lack of love, we find out how miserable it is to live without love. It's really horrible to feel unloved, or to feel no connection to love. It's so awful. It's a form of hell. We need never feel the lack of love for long. The only way to long-term separation from love is by consciously choosing to go against love. To seek vengeance, or to seek to do harm, is to go directly against the design of love. Not only do the acts of vengeance and intentional harm separate us from love, they also have a terrible warping effect on the mind. You can observe it in those who seek vengeance or seek to do harm. They are twisted, driven to instability and insanity because they are living so far out of sync with their core nature. They are living a truly false identity. So ask yourself, what would love do? Then sit with the question, fully expecting an answer. You will absolutely get answers. The direction may be challenging, but that's because it's supposed to be. This is how you begin to build your personal identity as a lover. The first person you consciously practice on is you. You must have a genuine love for your own personality, your former child self, your own mind and body, your innate capacity to find your own style and pace, and then to create your life path on purpose. You must practice the same acceptance with yourself that you would your own child. You must treasure your own personality like you would a best friend's, and you must seek to spend time alone with yourself like you would with a lover. When you bring this kind of healthy self-love to your relationships, you inject a sense of solidness and groundedness into every encounter. When you bring this kind of healthy self-love to your personal experiences, then you give your heart and mind wings to fly, space to breathe, and a powerful sense of a sure foundation to land on when it's time to land. You give yourself a sense of home. Yeah, That's what I'm talking about. Intimacy. Intimacy is the capacity of our mind and soul to connect with other individual minds and souls. We experience intimacy through a buffet of personal senses, including our sense of closeness, trust, unspoken understanding, warmth, friendship, familiarity, high comfort levels, eccentric humor, free, open expression, and privacy. That's not a comprehensive list. It's just enough to show that intimacy encompasses a great deal of our personal experiences. We don't really have to learn to be intimate. It's part of our nature to seek out private experience and to form circles of souls that feel naturally connected, that resonate and gravitate together. Our intimate circles are our smallest groupings. They're built on friendship, couplings, and family relations. Our first conscious, intimate relationship is with our own self. When we enter the more complex perspectives of adolescence, we begin to structure our private life. To have a good foundation of intimacy, we focus heavily on every aspect of our own being. We must come to see our own unique beauty and style. We accomplish this by paying attention to how we interact with our own psyche through self-talk. If our self-talk is uplifting and encouraging, like a good coach, then we'll have a good experience with intimacy. Friendly self-talk builds self-confidence and gives you the encouragement to explore and follow your curiosity. This gives you a kind of a portable comfort bubble that allows for ease in intimate scenarios. It's called being comfortable in your own skin. The basis of healthy self-love lies in self-knowledge. This requires you to pay a great deal of attention and focus heavily on yourself. That's why there's a natural phase of narcissism during early adolescence. You can only learn about something by focusing heavily on it. And when the subject is as big as your whole self, then it can become so absorbing that it excludes your awareness of others. When you understand that your own natural phase of self-absorption has an underlying purpose, then you can use the time and circumstances to dive in and really self-observe, analyze without criticizing, love without justifying, and accept without defending. When you use the natural adolescent phase of high self-absorption to learn and gain as much self-knowledge as possible, then you'll naturally emerge from that phase and be easily more sensitive towards others and more considerate. When you use the phase the way it's designed, you take your self-knowledge and naturally project it onto others. You have a conscious understanding that other human beings are like you. They're having their own personal experience of life and walking their individual path. They're learning life lessons and experiencing their emotional journeys in real time, just like you. There's a lot of experimentation and revision in this learning about yourself gig. There's editing and rewriting, and then there's moments of inspired realizations where the lights come on and you literally sit beside yourself in awe of the miracle of your own being. It's a kind of make it up as you go along and fly by the seat of your pants affair, but that keeps it genuine. And besides, how else are you going to learn to fly? With your self-knowledge expanding and overflowing into human understanding, your connections begin to bloom and grow, and you begin to witness how truly unique each individual is. This perspective gives you a deeper sense of beauty. It enlivens your genuine interest in the life we humans are sharing. We humans follow our sense of interest like a bloodhound on a scent. Our shared interests are the heart of most of our intimate circles. Shared interest is a form of connection. So is shared timeline and storyline, shared perspective, and shared events, and especially shared feelings. The key word here is shared. What we share connects us. What we share in depth creates intimacy. And what we share in privacy creates our intimate circles. Our intimate circles are where we learn the most, experience the most, and expand the most in our personal lives. They are where we feel most free and loved. It's our art, our creative expression as humans to create, co-create, and maintain our intimate life, and it is a major player in our lover identity. Sexuality. Sexuality in the metaphysical sense is the sheer movement of reciprocity, the simultaneous inward and outward movement of reception and assertion, of love and freedom. One form impinges on another and then is engulfed by the form it's impinging on. This is how individual designs integrate to create endless patterns of energy and expression. Each new combined pattern springs off from the original pairing. That's where we get the term offspring. Since all of life is energy-based, this inward and outward motion, this merging and blending of individual expressions, forms the recipe for variety in expression and endless creative choice. In the physical sense, sexuality generates new physical forms and is the merging and joining of the male and female attributes to generate new physical bodies, physical offspring. There is much more merging in human coupling than just the physical bodies. Sex is the most intimate physical act that we human types can engage in, and is the full physical expression of intimacy, love, and co-creation. When two humans are sexually involved, they become a part of each other's psychological territory. They have a shared mind space as well as sharing their bodies with each other, meaning our sexual partners take up part of our personal mind space, indeed, a fair amount of personal mind space. Also, according to epigenetics, even if you do not create a child together, you are still influencing each other's individual gene expression, and therefore sharing genetic influence. The body and mind are clearly affected on deep levels by sexual contact and interaction. When you consider that whatever you give attention to integrates with your soul, then you can see the momentous integration taking place in sexual relationship. The focus on your lover, on giving and receiving, and the motion of your bodies during sex is a very unique and intense focus. The intensity of that focus creates soul integration that is deep and far-reaching. The minds and souls of lovers are literally entwined in the grandest we that occurs in human experience. That's why it's set aside as an exclusive and unique relationship among all of our relationships. It involves the most pervasive sharing we can engage in with another human. There's a legend that says that when two humans in love connect and have a simultaneous orgasm, that they create a whole new planet. That's crazy. The couple life, the disembodied we of the couple, becomes another personality, another central character with a life all its own. You still are the center of your own story, but now you've expanded your story to include your couple life, your expanded center and most intimate expanded sense of self. Creating a whole additional center in your already established story is very tricky, very challenging. It involves merging two lives and two life stories with all their history and onboard characters. Sexual coupling also involves merging sexual rhythms and style. These are incredibly powerful forces to coordinate, and there is quite a learning curve involved. It requires expanded consideration, a strong sense of self-confidence and centeredness, and a willingness to be openly vulnerable to the close-up and direct influence of a whole other person. It should be very obvious that a full-on sexual relationship requires some individual preparation. Solo sex. The best place to practice and prepare for the sexual aspect of your lover identity is with your own self and with your own body. Long before you're ready to be a full-on sexual partner, you'll have sexual yearnings and experience sexual arousal. Sexual arousal is a heightened state of the mind and body that offers a pathway to ecstatic physical pleasure, explosive mental creativity, and a one-of-a-kind emotional release and culmination. It's more than physical orgasm. It's more rightly described as a climax, because it involves the whole self. In the beginning of your sexual life, when arousal hits you and the powerful drive to take that energy to its natural peak overwhelms you, masturbation becomes your new playground of exploration and discovery. Solo sex is how you come to know your own body on an intimate level. Also, you experience firsthand and in real time how the power of the imagination through sexual fantasy can directly and instantaneously affect your body. As an important side note, there is an obvious link between mind and body when it comes to physical health and the phenomenon of spontaneous healing. Our first-hand experience with solo sex demonstrates repeatedly that you can totally and instantly affect the body in healthy ways with the use of your imagination. This is part of the meaning of sexual healing and mind-over-matter approaches to health. The following is a list of some of the health benefits of masturbation. Orgasms and genital stimulation cause the body to release dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin. These hormones are associated with the sense of well-being, deep relaxation, love, and bonding. Each time we engage in solo sex or even just self-stimulation, we're giving our body and mind a dose of healthy self-love hormones. The above hormones restrict the release of cortisol, the stress hormone that is linked to systemic inflammation. The lower the cortisol, the less likely you are to experience anxiety or panic attacks. The release of oxytocin is shown to decrease junk food and comfort food cravings and may lead to weight loss as well. On the other hand, there can be an increase in appetite where there was a lack of appetite before, resulting in a healthy weight gain. There are also direct benefits to the digestive system. So, masturbation can be an aid in weight and metabolism regulation for the body. Masturbation can lessen the pain of menstrual cramps and relieve headache and back pain. Engaging in solo love on a regular basis has been shown to improve self-image and self-confidence in women. You get the benefit of sexual release and sexual fantasy without any of the pressure associated with maintaining a couple domain. There is absolutely no fear of pregnancy, which is another pressure involved in coupling. There is no chance of contracting an STD either. There is absolutely no harm in solo sex. Lastly, you maintain your sense of sexual autonomy, knowing that you can take care of your own needs regardless of your relationship status. This lends itself to being very particular when choosing a sexual partner and coupling for more expanded reasons than just satisfying sexual urges. This brings us to the issue of motivation and using discretion in your sexual choices. Our bodies are designed for sexual arousal and sexual gratification. Here's the thing. Sexual drive is powerful. Arousal can come on so strong and unexpectedly that it can actually feel a bit painful, and it can be a source of embarrassment at times. It takes some direct experience to learn how to navigate your sexual life. A good guideline is to realize that even though sexual arousal is your body signaling that you are primed for a full orgasmic release, it doesn't mean you should become a mad masturbator. It doesn't mean that you should drop everything and start masturbating on the spot, obviously. This is part of your intimate life, and it goes without saying that it's meant to be a private affair. One of the reasons we need more privacy as adolescents is so we can have a place where we feel free and safe to explore our own body and fantasy life. This is an essential part of expanding healthy self-love. We also need to realize that just because we're aroused doesn't mean to go out and find a partner. Sometimes we get aroused under bizarre circumstances, out in nature, when we see a slick pair of high heels, or something about Aunt Martha gets us all worked up. This obviously doesn't mean you should try to couple with a tree or a pair of Pradas, and definitely not Aunt Martha. Our bodies and our sexual associations can be quirky, but the rule of thumb is this: masturbation is for releasing sexual tension, for enriching your imagination, for giving yourself good attention, and to feel good with yourself in the state of sexual intimacy. Coupling is a different domain altogether, and it's extremely important to know when it's time to couple and when it's time to masturbate. Coupling. Coupling is the domain of making love. It involves sex as a central theme, but it's so completely different than satisfying a sexual urge. One is like playing a game, and the other is like co-creating a private world for two. Yeah, big difference. Solo love helps prepare you for coupling by building sexual confidence and ease with intimacy. But sexual fantasy should never be confused for interacting with another human being. Fantasies and people rarely match. Sure, you will fantasize profusely about your lover, but your lover is never to be held up to or compared with fantasy. Real humans can rarely match that, and it can create bitterness where there should only be sweetness. You have to be discriminating in your choices for coupling. Your main purpose in coupling is to share. Remember, intimacy is about connection, and the connections occur through sharing. A mutual and shared romantic love for each other, mutual admiration and respect, and sharing interest in the same life values are all paramount to a fulfilling and satisfying coupling. Because you've been engaging in self-love to satisfy sexual urges, you don't lean heavily on sex to relate to your lover. Making love can occur in glances, in hand-holding, in acts of affection and inside jokes, in making out, and even in caring for each other during illness or hard times. Making love involves so much more than sex. It signals to the mind and whole soul that you have found a total treasure in another person's smile, a partner to share the romantic road and the rough patches too, a companion for adventure and quiet times, and someone who is not just your lover, but one of your best friends ever. We find these things out through courtship. I know, it's an old-fashioned notion, but courtship gives any new relationship its legs. During courtship, we learn about each other. We explore every aspect of coupling together, including sex. There are traditions that call for waiting to get married in order to couple or have sex, but when the attraction is mutual and strong, and when love is in the mix, people are not likely to wait for the convention of marriage. Marriage isn't necessary to building a life together, and often the ideal of marriage puts pressure on a couple who already has a long-term idea for their couple domain. Marriage is a part of human culture that is undergoing a lot of change, and new templates for long-term shared life are starting to arise. These new templates are being customized by couples to match their own particular style and preferences. It's a natural evolution of relationship. Not everyone will want to get married, or even to stay in one relationship long term. The only way you'll find out about your own style and preference is through direct, real-time experience. You'll figure it out as you go. That's all anybody's doing anyway. So be a lover. Be a practicing self-lover first. Learn about your new expanding self. Gain your first-hand experiences of love with excitement, anticipation, confidence, flexibility, and acceptance. Be free with your loving self and honor the freedom and love of others, and you'll have fantastic experiences. And remember, even though you establish your lover identity early on, you'll always be stretching your soul to fit more love. You'll always be growing in your capacity to love. Watch Max Trinity's Metaphysics for Suicide Prevention, Part 4, The Warrior Task. Peace.